There's a fascinating comment in the Rishonim in Tosfos, which really turns on its head something that we may have always assumed about the construction of the Mishkan. The Torah tells us in our Parsha about the construction of the various kelim, the vessels of the Mishkan, including the Aron. And the Torah tells us that there have to be two badim, two poles that run through 4 rings on the corners of the Aron. Torah tells us in Perek Chaf Hey, Lo Yosuru Mimenu. Those badim have to be there all the time. They are not allowed. There is a negative prohibition that they cannot be removed from the Aron. So through those 2 tabaos, there are the badim that are presumably used to carry the Mishkan when they are traveling from place to place. And that is the visual depiction that we have of the Aron, seeing the golden Aron with the kruvim on top, and the badim, the poles, going through the rings on the corners. But the Mefarshim raise a difficulty, because there's a pasuk in Bamidbar in Perek Daled, pasuk Yud Daled, where the Torah lays out the procedure to follow when you have to take the Mishkan apart in order to prepare it to be moved. And God instructs the Leviim that when they are going to be moving, V'samu badav, Bamidbar Perek Daled pasuk Vav, you have to put in the badim. The clear implication is that the badim, the poles, were not there. But the Torah just told us that you're not allowed to remove the poles. So why weren't they there? How do we put these 2 psukim together? So Tosfos in Maseches Yuma Daf Ayin Beis is bothered by this question, and he suggests that the picture that we have of the Aron is in fact incorrect. And there were not 2 badim, there were not 2 poles, but 4. 4 poles, 2 different sets. There were 4 rings on the top of the Aron, 4 rings on the bottom, and each of them had poles that were going through them. 2 of the poles were permanently stationed in 4 of the rings. Those are the ones that our Parshas Terumah, are referring to. And the 2 other ones were through the other rings, and those were the ones that the Torah is referring to in Sefer Bamidbar that were placed when it was necessary to travel. It's incredible. Completely changes the tzura, the image that we have of the construction of the Aron that was used in the Mishkan. And while the theory easily answers the question of what exactly the Torah is speaking about, according to Tosfos, we need to understand what's the significance of the poles that were permanently stationed alongside the Aron. If the second set of poles were the poles that were being added in order to carry the Aron, then what's the first set of poles there for? Why was it necessary? Or what's the message that God was conveying by having these 2 sets of poles? Perhaps we can suggest that the badim on the Aron were used to carry the Aron from place to place. But the Gemara in Maseches Sota on Daf Lamed Hey tells us that it was really an optical illusion. That's not what was happening. It's not what was happening. Those who were the Nosei Ha'aron who were carrying the Aron were not really carrying it. Rather, Ha'aron Hayanosei Es Nosav. The Aron itself was carrying those who were carrying it. But how do we understand that statement of Chazal in light of the pasuk that seems to tell us clearly that the badim were necessary to be put in order to carry the Aron? So perhaps we can suggest that the message is that when we hold on to the Aron, when we have the badim that are permanently in place, and we are connected to the Aron, we are connected to the luchos, we are connected to spirituality, we are connected to Torah all the time, and lo yasirim yimenu, nothing is going to break us. It's always there. We're always putting in our effort. That is when the Aron is going to carry us. But we have to put in that effort first. So perhaps the message of the 2 sets of the badim, the 4 poles of Tosfos, is if we keep our poles constantly connected to the Aron, and we are ready to carry the Torah with us wherever we go, then when the time comes to travel, a new set of poles will be put in which Hashem is going to carry us. If we stand together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then the message of the Aron is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will then, when we have to go from place to place, when we are going to journey in our lives, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to accompany us. It's a beautiful, beautiful lesson. We have to put in our hishtadlus. We have to keep our connection, to find ways to involve ourselves in Torah when we are sitting in a shul, when we are sitting in a Beis Medrash, and when we are at work, and when we're involved in the mundane. Whatever it is to be connected to Hashem and to avodas Hashem, and to serving Him. And when we do that, then we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will carry us. That when we have the times when it's a little bit more difficult, when there's that Hester Panim, then we can turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and hopefully even feel that the Aron, that the Torah, is able to carry us.